Today is Friday, January 13th, 2016, Friday the 13th. And today I want to talk about the confirmation hearings. There's been a lot of guys in the hot seat, so to speak, over the past few days. You had General Mad Dog Mattis and others, but today I want to focus on two individuals. That's Mr. Jeff Sessions and also Dr. Ben Carson. Now, I want to start with Mr. Sessions, and I'm going to jump straight to the elephant in the room. Everybody wants to say that he's a racist, or they're trying to question, is he a racist? Is he not a racist? Does he hate blacks? Does he love blacks? Is he for the Civil Rights Act? Is he for voting rights and everything else? I'll answer those questions a little bit later, but what I want to do is start it off and just show you some of the actual confirmation hearing. Now, there were a lot of individuals that were interviewed for the hearings over a period of days, but I want to focus on just one day and a few individuals, and they're all black, because I think that'll make the most sense here for what I'm trying to prove and for the point I'm trying to get across. Now, these black individuals have different points of view about Mr. Sessions. I think you got 50-50. And I think out of the people that really support him are those that actually know him. And those that do not support him are those that don't know him. And also those that have further political aspirations that reach far beyond just right now. Now, before I get into all that, before I untangle the minutia, what I want to do is go ahead and roll it for you. I don't got to do too much teeing up, but just understand that these people were at the actual confirmation hearings and they get a testimony. I'm not going to play the entire thing right here, but I will place that in the description box below. I'll just play snippets that give you a fair representation of what their general comments were about. And if you don't want to take my word for it, like I said, the full remarks will be in the box below. So without further ado, go ahead and roll it.
To defend the equal rights of gay and lesbian and transgender Americans, but his record indicates that he won't. He will be expected to defend voting rights, but his record indicates that he won't. He will be expected to defend the rights of immigrants and affirm their human dignity, but the record indicates that he won't.
My name is Willie Huntley, and I'm an attorney located in Mobile, Alabama. I was at the U.S. Attorney's Office from 1987 to 1991. He assigned me the general criminal trial cases. He also assigned me to civil rights cases, and I would supervise all the civil rights cases that came through the office. During this time period, I can recall where we successfully prosecuted a police officer that was charged with excessive use of force. Unfortunately, I made a decision to leave the U.S. Attorney's Office in 1991. That decision wasn't based on anything that had happened to me during my time period in the U.S. Attorney's Office. During that time period, Jeff gave me advice, counsel. He provided a great deal of support in everything that I did. One thing in particular that he did was my second child was born, and there was a knock on the door that morning, and through the door walks Jeff Sessions.
Thank you for inviting me to testify today. Millions of Americans are encouraged by our country's efforts to create a more inclusive democracy during the last 50 years of what some of us call the beloved community, a community at peace with itself. They are not a minority. A clear majority of Americans say they want this to be a fair, just, and open nation. They are afraid that this country is headed in the wrong direction. They're concerned that some leaders reject decades of progress and want to return to the dark past.
My name is Justice Roy Jr. I've been in law enforcement since 1976 to 2016. I've served in local police departments for 11 years, served in the United States Marshal Service for 8.5 years, served in the Attorney General's office for 20.5 years. I first met Jeff Sessions when he was U.S. Attorney in the Middle District of Alabama, in the Southern District. Jeff was prosecuted at that time, a Klansman by the name of Henry Hayes. Jeff prosecuted that person for the abduction and murder of a black teenager. Following Jeff's election as Attorney General, I had the privilege to serve with him in his administration as his chief investigator. The beginning of Jeff's tenure as Attorney General presented Senator Sessions with challenges that included budget crisis and a 1/3 reduction of staff. Things that Jeff did when we came with the budget crisis and the reduction of staff, there were several people in the office that had to seek other jobs elsewhere. There was a black investigator in the office that came and had less than a year left before he was eligible to retire. Jeff Sessions allowed that to take place. He didn't have to do that. He did not have to do that at all because of the situation that we were in. Jeff Sessions retained me. He did not have to do that, but he did.
Before I jump into my substantive testimony, I want to address two timely issues. First, I want to express my concerns about being made to testify at the very end of the witness panels. To have a senator, a House member, and a living civil rights legend testify at the end of all of this is the equivalent of being made to go to the back of the bus. It is a petty strategy, and the record should reflect my consternation at the unprecedented process that brought us here. My record on equality speaks for itself, and I don't mind being last. But to have a living legend like John Lewis handled in such a fashion is beyond the pale, and the message sent by this process is duly noted by me and the 49 members of the Congressional Black Caucus and the 78 million Americans we represent and the over 17 African Americans that we represent.
It's an honor for me to be here today to support Senator Sessions to be the next Attorney General of the United States of America. I remember one hearing where I was passing Senator Sessions note after note to make sure he was prepared. When he didn't speak on the topic I handed him, I would hand him another note on another topic. Finally, he decided to speak. He did as he did in his testimony yesterday. He crushed it. Senator Sessions was not ignoring my notes. He was systematically thinking about how to put all the notes together in one speech. A number of my colleagues were amazed by his speech. They asked me afterwards, "What did you say to him in those notes?" I told them I had handed Senator Sessions a blank sheet of paper and told him to make me look good, and that's what he did. On the panel that testified before this one, there were personal attack after personal attack after personal attack. I doubt any one of those individuals attacking Senator Sessions outside of yesterday has spent 30 minutes in the same room with him. That's 30 minutes in the same room, not 30 minutes talking to him. I doubt any of them have spent 30 minutes or 10 minutes talking to Senator Sessions. This process should be about facts, not about political aspirations. Every allegation and witness from 30 years ago has been discredited. Members and the media should move on.
All right, so you see what's going on there. You see everything. You heard everything. Now, you can make your own mind up. You know, it's kind of like BuzzFeed. You know, I just put it out there and let you decide. But unlike BuzzFeed, this is real. This is real. This is straight from the actual confirmation hearings. And you could pretty much, you know, make your own mind up. What do you think? Do you think he's still a racist? I mean, you had black folks that actually know him and that have known him for many years, 20 years on end, especially Mr. William Smith. I think he was the best person, you know, kind of the bigger guy that was up towards the end. I think he had the best testimony, but you also had other people that gave good testimony. And the one man, I forget his name was Willie. I forget his last name, but he didn't even need any notes. He could just pretty much talk to you the same way I'm talking to you right now. When I do these videos, I don't take any notes. For the most part, I know pretty much what I'm going to say in my mind as far as like key talking points and key subjects, but I'm able to pontificate upon that just from inside of here and inside of here. And I think that is what my man did that was a former police officer. You know, I think he just spoke straight from his heart, and you could tell. Now, you had other people that were there that just wanted to push their own political agenda. Now, let's start from the bottom to the top, so to speak. You got Cedric Richmond, the guy who was struggling to read. He was really struggling. He was having a hard time at the confirmation hearing. He was really just, you know, doing bad. You could tell that he had a specific bias because he's with the CBC. That's a Congressional Black Caucus. They're anti-conservative and really kind of like anti-white. Those are the same individuals that are hanging up that anti-police painting in Capitol Hill in the Kennan Tunnel. where you get tourists and everything else that come by and see that every day, right? Those are the same group of people. So you got to be able to understand who the people are that are doing these things, that have certain type of agendas to be able to push. Now, you have John Lewis. I think John Lewis represents either Baltimore or Atlanta. I get him and Elijah Cummings confused. I don't really know the difference between the two. They look kind of the same and they got kind of similar background. I'm not being racist or anything else. Ain't no self-hater. These guys do look the same. And I put a picture of them here on the screen before you. Now, can you tell the difference between the two of them? Do you know which one is which? They're like twins, but I digress. The point is that he was a very big figure during civil rights. I think him and King walked together. So this is a very influential person as far as the civil rights era is concerned. But at the same time, I'm going to be 100% honest. As a 32-year-old black male, somebody that came from a different era than him, I think guys like him are pretty much, they've outlived their purpose. They're pretty much, obsolete. We don't need to hear the 1960s, we shall overcome, poor me, back of the bus. That stuff right there is over with. We're in a whole different era and we have a whole new set of issues to deal with. That stuff from 1965 is no longer relevant, right? And that's just that. He has his own little thing he does, his own little shtick. That's how he's able to stay relevant. But in reality, he is not relevant. Moving on to the man of the hour. The man of the hour. Could you tell, if you watched the hearings, could you tell who the man of the hour was? I could. But then again, I've been following him for a while and I see kind of what they're doing. Mr. Cory Booker. Cory Booker is being groomed right now to be the president or to be the, the DNC's candidate in 2020 to try and oppose Trump and or Mike Pence or whoever the Republican Party puts, and opposing him. He's being groomed right now. So he's going to go and take every chance he gets to get some kind of opportunity to get some camera time to pontificate and to bloviate his, so progressive and forward thinking views. That was the whole purpose of him being here and from having that speech prepared. I doubt he wrote any of that. He probably was just reading it on the fly. He may have read it on the plane or whatever to get to the actual hearings. Well, I think he's in Jersey, so he probably had to go too far. And he's from DC, so he probably had to, stay over his mom's house or something like that and spend the night. You could just read it right in front of you. And then once you get in front of the actual people, you read it again for like a second or third time ever in your life. But I digress. My whole point is that he is being groomed to be the candidate in 2020. But the problem is that he is very goofy. He's kind of like Jeb Bush a little bit. Jeb Bush, they put, $100 million into him and it just was all for naught. It was a big waste. And it's going to be the same thing with him. And the truth is he's not even as good as Martin O.W.E. Malley, the guy that stole furniture and everything from Annapolis when he was the governor of Maryland. He's not even as good as him. The reason why they're trying to groom him is because he's black. They're thinking, in the DNC that is, they're thinking, okay, we tried to put Hillary in there. We thought we could bank on the whole gender thing. They thought they would be able to equate gender and race. So that's like, okay, we tried to put her in there in 2008. It did not work. We got a black guy instead. Okay, cool. That'll work because that still kind of fulfills the affirmative action narrative that we're trying to push. We're the party of inclusion. We're the party of diversity. So we're going to be able to champion that. We're going to be the pioneers of that and stranglehold that market forevermore. So therefore, there will not be able to be another, standard white guy in office anymore. But what they did not account for is the regular civilian that's a standard white guy, essentially rising from the ranks like Donald Trump. Even though theoretically he's not a regular civilian, but he's not a politician, they did not account for that. If it was not for Trump, Hillary may have won because of the whole gender thing. But the truth is that black folks and other so-called minorities do not look at her as a minority. She's still white to them. The whole gender equals race thing is kind of played out. They keep trying to say it. They keep trying to say women, gays, blacks, or whatever, but we don't look at it that way. We look at it as black folks and everybody else. And that's it. If you gay, that's your business. If you white or whatever, that's your business. Black folks, white folks, Hispanics, they're all separate. That's pretty much what it is if you look at things through the eyes of race. So that whole experiment failed. Now they want to try to put Cory Booker in there to make up for it, but he won't be able to make it. He's goofy. He can't even read. He's not even as good as Martin O'Malley. And he came in distant third behind Bernie and Hillary. And Bernie had no chance. Neither did Hillary. So this pretty much a desperate effort to put him in the forefront, and it won't work. And the thing about it is that whole speech was pretty much a lie based upon the fact that the core premise of it about Sessions being a racist is something that he doesn't even really believe. Last year, he said this.
This is truly one of my life's greatest moments. I am humbled to be able to participate here in paying tribute to some of the extraordinary Americans whose footsteps paved the way for me and my generation. I feel blessed and honored to have partnered with Senator Sessions. I feel blessed and honored to have partnered with Senator Sessions. I feel blessed and honored to have partnered with Senator Sessions in being the Senate sponsors of this important award.
So how you going to praise Jeff Sessions for sponsoring this award for the people that marched in Selma in the 60s for voting rights, and then say that his record does not show that he would be somebody that champions voting rights? It doesn't make any sense. And recently he's voted for things that would have an impact on voting rights, right? He's voted in a positive way to affirm voting rights. So to say that he's not a proponent of voting rights is something that is false, and you don't even believe it, Cory Booker. You're already showing lies. That's not a good sign. We're not even into the next presidency yet, let alone the campaign for 2020. But that's just pretty much what that is in a nutshell. That pretty much encapsulates the whole thing about this whole farce about Jeff Sessions. There's a lot of people trying to push their own political agendas, and people are not being honest about who he is because they have their own narrative to push. Now, on to my man, Ben Carson. I won't spend too much time here because I think Ben Carson is somebody that people have to respect. They don't want to respect him, but they do so begrudgingly because he's black. They want to say that, look, Negro, you belong on the plantation. Don't move. That's what Democrats want to say to him. But they know they can't do that publicly. So what they do, they try to discredit him. They try to call him crazy. They try to call him stupid. They try to call him slow. They try to say that he's not qualified. That's the main thing I always hear. And it's really a big dog whistle, not qualified. What are the qualifications to become a HUD secretary? I mean, really, it's a government job. It's not brain surgery, pun intended. Because seriously, I mean, how hard could it actually be to be a HUD secretary? You know, you're not giving the keys to some type of really complex code that only somebody that's has a beautiful mind, an IQ of 1,000 or something like that, or an AI could solve. You're just dealing with a government job, and that's it. It's not that difficult, really. You're making decisions, and that's pretty much it. It ain't really that difficult. What are the qualifications? And the funny thing is, people will try to criticize Trump for so-called not draining the swamp. They'll say, oh, well, you got a guy that was a CEO of a company. Rex Tillerson, he was a CEO of Exxon. Okay, so what's the big deal? He was a CEO. He's an employee. He wasn't the owner of the company. And why is Exxon so bad? You go to the pump every day and get your gas, don't you? Without Exxon, would you be able to do that for an affordable price? I mean, let's just look at it realistically. He was a CEO. He paid a lot of money. What's the big deal? Everyone strives to have, either a high paying job or to be an entrepreneur and make a lot of money on your own. So I don't see why it's such a big deal. And then if you say that he can't do it, then who can? Ben Carson is an outsider of the government who could come in and do something that's different than the status quo. That right there is draining the swamp. But then if Donald Trump was to hire somebody that has government experience, he's not draining the swamp. If you hire somebody that was a CEO of a major company, you're getting people that are crony capitalists and everything else. So he can't win for losing. People just want to discredit him, and then to a lesser extent want to discredit people like Ben Carson because they're black. I said it. The so-called progressives are very racist. You'll see how they treat Ben Carson and how it's different and how they treat everyone else. But they don't say things like that about other people. Like the woman's going to be the Secretary of Education. They pretty much leave her alone. But Ben Carson somehow has to be something wrong with him. They want to put him on the couch and examine. What's wrong with you, Mr. Carson? Why do you think that way? Why are you a conservative? You're black. It's kind of like the runaway slave disease that they try to say we had back in the day. Drapetomania. That was a liberal word. And now they're just doing different things. They're using different little code language and keywords that they think we won't pick up on. I've noticed that a lot, being around a lot of liberal white folks. They try to use little keywords and little dog whistles that you don't hear. They think you don't understand. It's kind of like a slap in your face. It's like, you're too ignorant to get what we're saying. We're going to say it right in front of your face and you won't pick up on it. They do that a lot. And they're doing that a lot with Ben Carson. It's really a shame. Ben Carson is a brilliant man, and he's a great man. You know, a neurosurgeon, world famous neurosurgeon, separated conjoined twins. Somebody with that kind of intellect and IQ to be able to carry out a task like that, even though it was not by himself, where it doesn't matter, he was still involved. Nobody watching this can go right now with a scalpel and even with a team of 100 people, separate conjoined twins. And nobody can do it. So don't say, oh, well, he had a team of people behind him. So what? You can't do it. The average person watching this, 99.9% of all of the world cannot do it. It's a very specific kind of skill, and you got to be able to have a high IQ to be able to pull it off. So to say a guy like that cannot work a government job is really an insult to him and his intelligence and to his ability as a man to be able to transfer skills to a trade that has much less intense skills. But that's just my opinion on it. And I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover. I think Sessions and Ben Carson will do great. Sessions will be the next attorney general and a much better AG than Eric Holder, the racist, the person who wants to pretty much be buddy with another racist in Barack Obama. I think he'll be fair. I think he'll be honest. And I think he'll uphold the laws of our country. I think he's much more of a centrist than people think he is. I think he'll be able to do a good job trying to, just make sure that the law is followed correctly. And I think Ben Carson, being a very high IQ, a very calm individual, somebody that's cool, calm and collected, will not make, irrational decisions. I think he'd be great in his post as HUD secretary. And I hope that we have more individuals like him in the world that just come up and just do different things and do good things, especially in the black community. So what do you think? Do you think that these two positions have been fulfilled properly? If not, who do you think should be the actual person that fills the role? And I want to say one last thing. You had Cornell Brooks, the CEO of the NAACP, talking about Jeff Sessions, talking about how he got a low grade on their little report card they give people that are in positions of power, Senate, or whatever. You had Lindsey Graham that came on there and wrecked him.
Mr. Brooks, do you give a scorecard to members of Congress?
The NAACP does indeed.
Okay. Do you know what score was given to Senator Sessions in the 113th Congress?
The senator has received a low grade, as in a failing grade, for years on end.
Okay, he got 11%. What did I get?
Senator, I have to consult the scorecard for you.
I got 25%. Hatch got 25%. Grassley got 11%. Lee got 11%. Cruz got 11%. Sass, yet to be determined. Flake, 29%. Crapo, 14%. Tillis, not rated. Kennedy, not rated. What did the Democrats get on this committee? Feinstein got 100%. Lay got 100%. Durbin got 100%. Whitehouse got 100%. Klobuchar got 100%. Franken got 100%. Coons got 96%. Blumenthal got 100%. And Hirano got 100%. Would you say that there seems to be a difference in terms of the parties and how well they do within NAACP's legislative agenda?
There are no questions. The report card is based on legislation, not party affiliation.
Well, isn't it kind of odd that one party gets 100% and nobody else does very well on our side?
Senator, I don't think it's odd. It simply reflects the
I think it's really odd. I think it speaks for itself. Name one. It means that you're picking things that conservative Republicans don't agree with you on, and liberal Democrats do. I hope that doesn't make us all racist and all of them perfect on the issue.
And it made perfect sense. It's like, okay, if you're going to give him a low grade and you're going to give all other conservatives a low grade as well, then that means that nobody on the right will be suitable for the attorney general's job. You want somebody on the left because you give them abnormally high scores. You're giving them like 100s pretty much all the time. One guy got 96, but everybody else on the right got like 11 or 10 or 25 or something that's very low like that. So everybody on the right got a low score. That's pretty much what it is. They do not like conservatives in general, not just Jeff Sessions. If it was not him, it'd be somebody else. I think that the whole racist angle is what I said earlier. It's easy to brand him like that because of where he comes from. And they pretty much link him to being a white guy from Alabama, you know, a Southern accent. And then they also link him to Alabama's past and some of the racists that were in government back then, even though those individuals were, wait for it, Democrats. George Wallace, big time Democrat. But I digress. What do you think about the whole situation between Ben Carson and Jeff Sessions? Do you think that they'll be a good choice for their respective positions? Who do you think should actually become the Attorney General and HUD Secretary, if not them? Do you think I'm on point with my assertion about the whole situation, about the whole thing about Jeff Sessions being a racist, being this big branding machine that is false to try and play on the fact that you come from Alabama, got a Southern accent? And do you think that Ben Carson has the ability to become the HUD Secretary because of his intellect, his skill that can be transferred? One of the rare things to happen in human history, separating conjoined twins, is very difficult to do. And I think that somebody who can do that can pretty much do anything they put their mind to. But whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. That's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.